Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name.
Thanks again for tuning in to Armor of God. And as always, I hope all of you are going to learn a lot from this video as well. Now for this one, it's going to be focusing on sins and temptation, and we're all facing temptation every day. And I know there are many non-Catholics watching the videos on this channel, so I hope for them you'll be able to learn something here on offering our temptation to God for the salvation of souls. Listen to this.
When we are aware of our temptations, Clive, when we are aware of our temptations, it means we are still very clear in our minds. We know that we are being tempted. And so when we start to say, Lord, this struggle I am offering to you for the forgiveness of my sins, for my own purification, or for the salvation of a loved one, for example. This is possible. Even the saints do this in their own sufferings. To suffer, for example, sickness. There is always a temptation in sickness, either to give up or to be angry or to doubt. Why is God allowing me? Why I'm praying to God to heal me. He's not healing me. I'm suffering. I'm in pain. Again, the story of Job. The story of Job is emblematic of the human condition in the midst of sufferings. And you get to understand the friends of Job who meant him well, and even the wife of Job who loved him would have that question, why don't you curse God and die? So that is it. But Job's answer is really what a righteous person has. God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It takes a righteous man to say that, because that is not a normal reaction of a human being. It's always to question, what did I do? When people get sick, I've seen this. When people get sick, they always ask for healing. Yes. And we pray for healing. But seldom have I seen a person say, I offer my suffering for my purification. I offer my suffering for my family. Blessed Carlo Acutis comes from a rich family, and he was to be sent by his parents to the best doctors, to the best hospitals. But Carlo, at a very tender age, 15 years old, said, spend your money for others who need more help. I offer my suffering for the church and for the Pope. This is 15 years old, dying of leukemia. That is why the church understood that this is heroic virtue. And the heroic virtue he underwent during that intense moment of his suffering. It really gives us a view of how saints really work. So your question, can I offer my temptation to God? Yes, because actually what you're saying is, I want to be obedient to God. Therefore, temptation is Satan's seduction. And now I understand that I am being taken away from God, and therefore I am offering it to God. Offering this struggle to God. This suffering. The struggle is the suffering. I'm offering this struggle to God as a sign that I want to obey Him and that I want to love Him. That is what it is. And it becomes really meritorious. It becomes really meritorious. When you come to think of it, Clive, when we do penance, for example, penance for what the priest gives to us, Oftentimes, it's only about saying a certain set of prayers. But actually, penance is a form of suffering, a form of inconvenience, as it were. And you are being asked to do this because after you have said, I am sorry for my sins, I confess my sins, and then the priest says, for your penance, as a sign of your love for God, do this. And what if the penance given you is really just five Our Fathers, five Hail Marys, five Glory Bees? Just think about this number in itself. Saying one Our Father is easy. One Hail Mary is easy. One Glory Be is easy. But when you start to repeat them, actually, what the church is asking you is to pray with your heart. So instead of saying just talking with your tongue, with your mouth, he's asking you to pray the prayers from your heart. Because when you repeat, the human tendency is just for it to slide with words. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, the kingdom come. Well, what it's actually saying to you is say it. Say it from your heart. You know, there was a case of an exorcism that we had because we are asked in the rituals to intersperse memorized prayers in between. So if you say this exorcism prayer before you say the other prayer, you can intersperse it with a known prayer like Our Father, Hail Holy Queen, or Hail Mary, or Glory to God in the highest. When you say these things, oftentimes it just comes in automatically. In one instance, with an exorcist assisting me, we prayed the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. You know what the demoniac says? From the heart. So we were praying the Our Father, but the demon noticed that it's not coming from the heart. So it says from the heart. So the priest and I look at one another. It allowed us to reflect. Are we saying the prayers just mumbling it? So what we did? We knelt and sung the Our Father so that we will feel the prayers, that it's really coming from the heart. So this is how it is. So when you ask that question, it's really a very relevant question. Can we offer it? Certainly. You know what was the temptation of Jesus Christ on the cross? The people were saying, if you are truly the Son of God, take yourself down. It's the same temptation of the demon or the devil in the desert. If you are truly the Son of God, make this stone turn into bread. If you are truly the Son of God, drop yourself down from the parapet of the temple. And for it is said that the angel of the Lord will come to save you. So that is it. And Jesus said, it is written. It is written. In other words, it's the offering to God. You shall love the Lord your God, and you shall worship the Lord your God, and him you shall serve. So that is how it is. So when we are tempted, it's actually to go against God, and now we are offering our temptation, say, Lord, I adore you and I worship you. I offer you whatever I'm feeling now, this pain, this inconvenience, this suffering that I'm having, I'm offering it to you for my salvation, my purification, and for the salvation of the world, or a particular loved one, or for a particular soul in purgatory.
And I know not many will watch this video till the end, but I'm going to place this clip here nonetheless for those of you who are willing to listen. In the following clip, Father Winston goes a little bit deeper into sins and temptation. Listen to this.
This is what every possession is different. There are certain patterns, but each Each possession or attack of the devil is different because it is tailor-made for that person. Because everyone has a particular story. When somebody comes to us asking for help, for assistance, we always want to know the story because everyone has a story. The devil does not come just like that. The evil one comes to tempt you and me where we are. And where we are has a background to it, has a story behind it. So that is how we get to understand what how temptation is done. How do you resist? How do you resist temptation? Well, moral theology tells us by virtue. So first and foremost, that temptation is an attack on our weakness. So the devil will not attack us immediately in our strength. He will attack us in our weaknesses. So because that is the weakest link, the weakness. So he will attack on our weakness because he knows that that is where our defenses are not well made, are not so strong. And therefore, when you ask anyone, how do you resist temptation, the seduction, the first and foremost that is answered by the spiritual writers, by the church in its teachings on moral theology, is by virtues. Because virtues are good habits that move us toward the good, which means that we really desire the good and work towards that which is truly good. And therefore, the habit, which is done by education, the training of the mind and the training of the will, allows you and me to resist temptations. But here it is what is important. You can only resist up to a certain limit using your own strength. And since your enemy is the evil one who is more powerful than any one of us, you cannot fight him on your own. You need grace. This is where now we have what we call the synergy between grace, the help from God, and our own efforts. It has to combine together. So if a person is virtuous, meaning inclined really to good habits by practice, you also need grace to boost that. And how do we get grace? Well, we understand this as Christians and as Catholics. We get that from God through prayer, especially as Catholics, through the sacraments, through our communion with God, especially in the Eucharist and Holy and Confession. So that is how we are able to build virtue because of grace. Can you resist temptation 100% of the time? The answer is yes and no. Yes, if we are truly immersed in the grace of God. That is why we have the saints. We have the saints, especially those that we have read are the popular saints, where really even venial sins is repugnant to them for the saints. So because they're totally immersed in God. So the answer is yes. But also on our part, it's not always that we can resist even with grace temptation, because there will always be moments of weakness. Again, this is it. So you understand our weakness is not just one point. It's not even 2 points, multi-points. So if the evil one sees that you are able to resist in this area because you are strong, it will now try to change its tactic by attacking you in an area where you are weak. So it's attacking you here at this point and attacking you at this point, and then attacking you at another point. Um, in the exorcism ministry, we say that this is also good in a certain sense. Because if you know your weaknesses now, because there are many times also that we think we know who we are, but we actually do not know where our other weaknesses are. So when we are tempted in another area that and we are not aware, oops, I'm weak there, then you get to have a realization as if God is saying, okay, you are now building your defenses here, but you are weak in this area. So build your defenses also there. It's just like saying, think of it as your house, no? You have your house, uh, and you have everything. The roofs are patched, so you do not have leaks on your roof when it rains. But you may have leaks on your windows. So you have leaks on your windows, and you have not noticed that until you have a strong rain, no? So you have to fix your windows. Or if you have pests in your house, uh, where did the mosquito enter? Where did the fly enter? How did it enter? Where did the cockroach enter? Where did the mice enter? So you get to think, where are they entering? So that is also a point there. So a positive point in the sense that when you know your temptations, you know where your weaknesses are. First and foremost, all of us will be tempted because the devil will prevent us from returning to God. So whether you are an ordinary Catholic, or whether you are a husband or a wife, or even as a child, and then of course thinking of a seminarian, religious, and a priest, you will realize that yes, there will always be temptations. Temptation is basically the devil telling you and me to join them in their rebellion against God. But this kind of rebellion is not something that is an outright rebellion the way we usually think of a war. This is always a seduction. This is always a way of taking us from our original path. If we look at the original plan of God, and that is to unite us closer to Him, then we would realize that the temptation is to take us away from communion with God by seducing us and telling us that God does not want us to be happy. Meaning, if you look at it from the perspective of the Garden of Eden, the temptation of the Garden of Eden, you here see where the serpent, in the temptation of Eve, seduced her to doubt whether God intends to give them full happiness and and the freedom of truly what the son or daughter of God is. So the question of the serpent is, did not God forbid you to eat of this fruit? And the woman said that if we eat of this fruit or even touch it, we shall die. So there is already that view that there is a limitation to what we can do. And without giving us an explanation why we should not do it. So the temptation of the serpent there is, no, if you eat of this fruit, God knows, God knows that you will know good and evil. You will become like God. So that temptation is you will become like God. You will know and be able to do what God is able to do. So there is that seduction towards autonomy, the seduction to be autonomous like God. And therefore, Eve started to doubt. That's where it is working, the doubt. And then from then on, you have now that bond between the serpent that tells her, you see, now that you're remember what I was telling you in last time when the demoniac told me, remember, it's always you, it's always us putting things, and the evil one just simply plays on what we are, how we are reacting to what he is saying to us. So that then he adds some more. So in this case, you get to understand that when you talk about temptation, it is always that the temptation towards autonomy from God. You look at the first commandment actually. You look at the second commandment, which is the greatest of the commandments. And then the answer was, you shall love the Lord your God with your whole being. So what goes against that is not to love God, not to love God partially, but not to love him totally. And then after that commandment, Jesus said, and the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And that is now connected to, I love God because he created me, and that's how I understand myself. And therefore, I will love my neighbor because God loves my neighbor and I love God. So it's all connected to that kind of understanding. So the temptation now that we undergo is to go against that, to go against total surrender, total obedience, total self giving to God, who is the supreme one, the creator. There is a movie, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it here. There is a movie entitled Nefarious. I don't know if you have watched that, Nefarious. And there the dialogue between the prisoner who is supposed to be possessed and the psychiatrist is very interesting because it really tells you the demonic mind of when the devil said, the possessed said that God made you in his image, but we remade you in our own. And that we are even surprised of the evil that you are able to do on your own. You pause with that thought and you realize that is really what it is all about. We are made in God's image. That is our original makeup. And therefore, temptation is to really go against that, to really go against that image of God in us. So instead of us being made in the image and likeness of God, so moving towards that, we are now withdrawing by saying no to God. And therefore, that temptation of the serpent in the garden is really very relevant because it really reminds us over and over again what this temptation is all about. It's really to become like God, to become like God without God. So, total autonomy from God. So, when you talk about your friend who wanted to become a seminarian and eventually did not push through because of temptations, we want to understand what these temptations are, what areas of our life we are being tempted, because the evil one works against us, not as a templated thing, but as a individual, one soul at a time. As I said in our last interview, this is what every possession is different. There are certain patterns, but each possession or attack of the devil is different because it is tailor made for that person. Because everyone has a particular story. When somebody comes to us asking for help, for assistance, we always want to know the story because everyone has a story. The devil does not come just like that. The evil one comes to tempt you and me where we are. And where we are has a background to it, has a story behind it. So that is how we get to understand what how temptation is done.
That will be all for the video this time. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here again, and hopefully all of you have learned a lot from this video. Remember, if there's any feedback or suggestion, please let us know in the comments below. Anyway, if you like what we do and you'd like to support us, I left a link to our PayPal donation in the description box below and from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your continuous support, contributions, and prayers. And until the next one, thanks again for watching and may God bless you.